The U.S. is set to lose $12.5 billion because of it. Tourism to the U.S. is on the decline.
Travel to the U.S. is down from multiple key markets.
International travel is way down. People are not coming to the United States.
We will make America strong again.
With a deafening emptiness of abandoned terminals, America's international gates are closing, not quietly. Major airports, once great representations of American might and cultural influence, are now strangely silent. International plane traffic has dropped by 70 to 80%, turning once crowded concourses into echoing, deserted areas. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is progressing. 11 new international airports are opening in Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, drawing not just tourists but also prestige, business, and worldwide recognition away from the U.S. The repercussions are dire for a nation whose economy is largely dependent on being open and accessible. Already, the financial impact is astounding. The United States is expected to lose $12.5 billion in 2025 alone as a result of a decline in foreign travel. Furthermore, the trend isn't abating. An additional 9.4% decline in foreign arrivals is predicted, depriving local companies and regional economies of about $9 billion. America's changing place in the globe is reflected in this issue, which is no longer solely related to tourism. What does the United States' declining popularity as a travel destination suggest about its standing in the world in the 21st century? Portland is a place where this declining trend is most noticeable. Its airport, which was once hailed as a friendly and sustainable entryway to the Pacific Northwest, is now a glaring example of decay. Portland has had a 73% decrease in international traffic, which has resulted in the permanent closing of several gates. Portland is now cut off from international flights since major airlines, including Scandinavian Airlines, British Airways, and Lufthansa have completely withdrawn, relocating their operations to Vancouver. With 81% fewer airline queries, interest in visiting the city has also plummeted due to worries about delays, safety, and dependability. Passengers are not the only ones affected, once vital to Oregon's export-based economy. Cargo flights are now diverted to Seattle and Vancouver, which are regarded as more reliable airports. What was once a source of pride for the area is now seen as a location to avoid by both airlines and tourists. The Northeast demonstrates that even the country's major airports are susceptible if Portland serves as an example of how easily a regional center may fall apart. The amount of foreign traffic at Newark, which has long been a key link between New York and other places, has decreased by 68%. Virgin Atlantic and Swiss have rerouted, leaving passengers with fewer options, and Emirates has cut its operations. For those that stay, the previously efficient entry point becomes a frustrating affair due to lengthy waits and security lineups that last for more than 2 hours. Boston has also not been spared. The number of foreign arrivals has decreased by 59%. However, the harm extends beyond airport data. The city's well-known educational system, which depends significantly on foreign students, is also suffering as families are discouraged from bringing their children to Massachusetts due to visa delays. Hotels in places like Cambridge and Back Bay are only running at half capacity as a result of airlines like Aer Lingus, Air France, and Virgin Atlantic cutting back on flights. This is a major setback to an economy that depends heavily on international tourism and education. The story becomes increasingly more worrisome as it moves south. Miami, which used to be the main U.S. center between Europe and Latin America, is losing ground quickly. Latin American international traffic has decreased by 64%, and several carriers have stopped offering their services altogether. Visa processing currently takes more than 6 months for visitors from nations like Brazil, Argentina, and Colombia, which is an intolerable delay in a cutthroat travel industry. Many are so frustrated that they are just choosing to travel elsewhere, particularly to Europe. As a result, commerce and tourists are diverted from the United States, which has severe repercussions for the areas that formerly benefited from that flow. Cruise lines warn that the loss may be permanent, while hotels along Miami Beach report half-empty dining rooms and a considerable dip in foreign patrons. The drop has been equally pronounced in Phoenix, a city that once positioned itself as a growing international hub for both business and leisure. due to significant service cuts by major airlines like British Airways and Lufthansa. International arrivals have decreased by 62%. What could start off as a local interruption is swiftly turning into a structural issue, long dependent on foreign tourists passing through Phoenix. The tourism triangle of Arizona, Utah, and Nevada today has challenges maintaining visitor attractions, hotel occupancy, and excursions. The absence of these planes makes the desert economy seem more and more disjointed, serving as a sobering reminder that when air routes disappear, economic life frequently follows. While Miami and Phoenix provide as examples of how quickly tourism is collapsing, the circumstances in Dallas and Seattle highlight how profoundly these disruptions are affecting the foundation of the American economy. International arrivals have decreased by 57% in Dallas-Fort Worth, a key hub for global manufacturing, logistics, energy executives, and tourists. Asian and Middle Eastern airlines have drastically reduced their operations, cutting off important direct connections to important trading partners. Passenger services are still experiencing a decrease. Once largely dependent on DFW for international transit, FedEx and UPS are now moving their operations to more effective hubs abroad. The loss of global connectivity is more than simply symbolic for Texas, a state founded on trade and mobility. It strikes at the core of supply chain infrastructure, energy, and commerce. The tale from Seattle further north is just as depressing. The city was once hailed as a gateway to the Pacific for the United States, but its Asian aviation connections have been deteriorating at a startling rate. Arrivals from Europe have decreased by 54%, while passenger traffic from Asia has decreased by 69%. British Airways has substantially reduced service, and All Nippon Airways has suspended its route to Tokyo. The repercussions extend well beyond the airport. Once vibrant restaurants and tech conferences that mainly depended on foreign tourists are now struggling to attract attendees, and downtown hotels are only operating at 45% occupancy. The empty airport is a terrible message for a city that has positioned itself as a global center of innovation and international trade. If the economic strain is evident in Dallas and Seattle, Washington Dulles International Airport draws attention to something even more significant: the decline in American diplomatic influence. The country's capital, which was once a smooth entryway for international delegations, diplomats, and world leaders, is also in a downward spiral. International travel has decreased by 65% at Dulles since 2023, with the biggest decline being from Europe, which is home to many of America's closest allies. Washington, standing as a crucial transatlantic stopover for world leaders, has diminished as major airlines like Virgin Atlantic and Air France have cut back on service, and Lufthansa has refocused on its German bases in Frankfurt and Munich. The consequences are immediate and extensive. Local businesses dependent on diplomatic traffic are struggling to survive, and hotels that once flourished on embassy functions and international summits are now seeing record low occupancy. However, the harm goes beyond merely money. The empty terminals at Dulles imply that accessing the center of American power, which was previously simple, is now uncertain, suggesting a deeper symbolism at work. And the impression of American leadership deteriorates along with that accessibility. If Washington represents a diplomatic retreat, the airport problems in New York and Los Angeles portend something much more sinister: the decline of America's reputation as a world leader. For many years, LAX and JFK served as more than just transportation hubs. They were also cultural icons and gateways that influenced how people throughout the world initially perceived the United States. Whereas New York served as the entryway to Wall Street, Broadway, and American aspirations, Los Angeles attracted idealists seeking the stars of Hollywood. Collectively, they represented the country's promise to the world. Those famous gateways are eerily deserted now. International travel has decreased by 71% at LAX. Terminals that used to be packed with executives, artists, filmmakers, and international tourists now only handle a small portion of their previous load. The hush that now permeates them is a silent, enduring echo of a nation pulling inward, and it speaks louder than any public outcry. Cathay Pacific has drastically trimmed its schedule, cutting off vital connections to Asia's financial and entertainment hubs, and Singapore Airlines has slashed about 40% of its flights to the United States. The effect extends beyond flight data. The symbolism is powerful. Los Angeles, which was once a global producer of culture, is now less accessible to the very audiences it once impacted. Even big film festivals and international media events are having trouble drawing participants from abroad, with many pointing to logistical challenges and unpredictable nature of flying through LAX. JFK presents a more dire scenario. In the most dramatic drop in U.S. aviation history, foreign arrivals have fallen by an astounding 78%. British Airways has cut a large portion of its transatlantic schedule, and Emirates has cut its services by 60%, leaving whole areas of the airport strangely empty. For many years, JFK represented America's openness as a 24-hour worldwide gateway that accepted planes from every continent. These days, its enormous international terminals look like vacuous remnants of a time when American supremacy in foreign travel was uncontested. This absence is psychological as well as physical. Stepping off a plane in New York used to be the iconic American arrival for millions of travelers. The story of American cultural leadership is now vanishing along with that initial interaction with the United States. Foreign countries are filling the hole left by the quietening of U.S. airports. One country that is quickly taking over the space that the United States has left is Canada. Previously frequent visitors to American cities, Canadians are now selecting other travel locations. As more people choose to travel to South America, Europe, and Mexico, reservations for vacations to the United States have decreased by more than 70%. Vacations in the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, and other places viewed as friendlier and more approachable are taking the place of traditional attractions like the beaches of Florida and the resorts of Phoenix. This problem extends beyond plane travel. The number of cross-border car travels between the U.S. and Canada fell by 500,000 in a single month, to the lowest level since 2022. This is a warning sign rather than a brief downer for states that rely heavily on tourism and border communities. The once iconic entrances to America now resemble abandoned settlements. And that raises the inevitable question. Is it still possible for the U.S. to claim to be the global center, or has that title already been taken by another country? For now, it is a conclusion of the narrative. There is more to America's airport's downfall than just closed terminals and vacant gates. It concerns a country losing its position at the nexus of international influence and mobility. The future is unclear whether Asia, Europe, and Canada are subtly taking over the role that the United States once held. Are we seeing the beginning of a long-term change in the balance of power in the world? Or can America rebuild its gates and regain its position? We appreciate you watching, and if this message resonated with you, please think about liking and subscribing so we may continue to share the tales that others miss.